beautiful Friday morning. Yes, trust you are good today. And yes, hoping for a very wonderful Friday and weekend. Today on the law, we're going to be looking at the hashtag Revolution Now protest and its legality. Generally, protest has been seen and described as a highly democratic expression of popular opinion. In modern history, citizens in different countries have organized this morning by a legal practitioner, Mr. Richarmond, or NATHA-ALADE. NATHA-ALADE. Good morning. Good to have you on the law.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Good morning. Always a pleasure to have you on the program. What is protest?
Well, by the definition of law, protest is a means of conveying your heart's message and the feelings to any persons or people in position of authority. And by contest, protest is a long-time phenomenon which is as age as the time of man, immemorial. When we talk of protest is multifaceted. It can be from children to their parents, from husband to wife, from wife to husband, from a particular person to a particular person, from group of people to their rulers or to people in government. So, and over the time, protest is one of those things categorized and universally recognized as an inalienable right of all persons. That is, as long as you are a human being, is something that can never be taken away from you to express how you feel about a particular situation or subject.
When does a protest becomes illegal?
Even by provision of our constitution, the right to protest is codified with the word peaceful. Because all rights are not exclusive. There are limitations and there are ways all rights are couched. And under the law, everybody has right to protest as long as it's peaceful. By a provision of Section 40 and Section 39 combined of our Constitution, every one of us have the right to peaceful protest and assembly. So it becomes illegal the moment violence is involved, or intimidation is involved, or you are threatening violence is involved. Then automatically Section 45 of the Constitution, which are derogations as to that freedom to peaceful protest, will come in and it will come to play.
How would you describe the protest on Wednesday?
From what I've seen so far, I think the protest on Wednesday is in order. If people come out to protest, demanding for good government, demanding for better security in the country, demanding for one or two things that we know that are not too good with the country, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as people conducted themselves peacefully, orderly, and in a way that is not a threat to national peace and security, I don't think there's any issue.
But there was a clampdown on that protest
then
by the security operatives.
I want to believe that clampdown is wrong and totally wrong. So I believe that it's something that's challengeable, and it is wrong and totally wrong. And from time past, it has been said by courts that everybody has the right to peaceful protests and assembly. It has been determined severally, and that is the position for now.
I've heard people argue on the premise that before you can stage a protest, you need to get the operatives involved so that they can provide security. And I remember that there was a time there was an injunction on that. Does it still stand that you need to get the security operatives involved before you can go on and protest?
Thank you. One of the reasons why we must also always appreciate our judiciary is their wisdom in interpreting the law. And by the provision of the Public Orders Act, which was enacted under the military regime. By provision of that act is one of the LFA 1990, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 1990, which was later reconsolidated in 2004. And by the provision of that act, it gives anybody who is willing or who are planning to protest to seek the consent of the governor. The governor can now delegate that function to any commissioner or DPO of any any commissioner of police or DPO. That is the provision of that law. But something happened in 2003 when some of our members, some of the national, I think AMPP now, and some coalition groups gathered in Kano to make a peaceful protest. But unfortunately, the Inspector General of Police clamped down on them, and eventually some of them were arrested. They were brutally tear gassed, and I think one Gabashi, I've forgotten the name, in the process lost his life, and that led to an outrage, and the matter was challenged in court. And I can remember, I think Honorable Justice Ekereke or something of the Federal High Court then made a pronouncement that police permit is not consistent, that the provision of the Public Orders Act asking anybody planning to protest to seek the consent of governor or consent of Inspector General of Police or any police whatsoever is not in tandem and is not the intention of Section 40 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999. And that particular case was appealed to the Court of Appeal. And I remember in 2005 when it was also decided, it was upheld that the Constitution, you see, if you are interpreting the Public Orders Act, it must be in tandem with the Constitution. Not that it will be at variance. That is, it is an inalienable right of all citizens of the country or all citizens of Nigeria to protest, to embark on peaceful protest without permission from anybody whatsoever. The only condition is that when the people who wanted to protest are thinking that we need security, then they can apply to the police that please supply us security. Necessarily.
They have the right to seek for security.
They have the right to seek the security, which as well they can also waive. So it's a right which is waivable. But at the same time, the main right to peaceful protest is an international, yes, under the United Nations Declaration, I think Article 20 particularly, under the African Charter, the Banjul Charter, 1981, and I think by the Article 11. Then there are so many conventions which are already parts that are part of our laws already, and which are in effect in this country by virtue of domestication by National Assembly. They form part of our law. All these things are international conventions, international obligations, which Nigerians are signatory to, and which they must support. So international, when it comes to right to peaceful protest, is something that is inherent. It's part of human being. As long as you are human, you can protest. That is why you see some staff of a particular organization saying that their organization is not treating them well. They carry placard, they this and that. They cannot be dismissed based on that. It's their right under the law. So there are so many reasons why persons or people can protest. More so in a democratic setting, which was in the case of AMPP versus IGP, Inspector General of Police, which I made mention earlier. The court has said it that it is important that as part of the ideal and democratic principle of any nation, it is important that we protest in given circumstances.
Okay, let's go back to the background of this hashtag Revolution Now protest, going by what happened last year when the flag bearer of the party, okay, I can't remember the party I'm right now, led the hashtag Revolution Now, and part of what quite a number of people condemned, and even the government, was the fact that he was part of an election that held not too long before the protest, and the word revolution, they felt that it wasn't right for somebody to giving it my own peak definition. Now, if I'm going to refer to it as that, because so many definitions had come out, had been expressed that could also mean revolution. So, going by that, would you say that might be the reason we got that clamp down because of the number one hashtag revolution now? Because Omo Yele Sowore was a presidential candidate as well of his political party.
Well, you see, uh, the idea before the revolution now protest is multidimensional. And if we try to look at the intent of a man, then we can interpret some of his conduct. Then we compare them with the law. Well, as at the time revolution now protest started, which was last year, the manner the convener went about it was quite awful and not in tandem with the law. That matter is sub judice. I wouldn't want to talk much on it. But at the same time, we should have our mind to the fact that when you are saying that by this time tomorrow there will not be DSS, by this time tomorrow there will not be anything government, we will unbundle government, we will do them this and that, you are making threats. It's no longer peaceful. You are calling for violence. And that is why it's in court. I don't want to use some of the exact words he used then. It's different from, yes, the one that was staged yesterday. Yes, we want good governance, we want this, we want that. You understand? It's part of us. But the moment you start to induce or you start to you start to use the word threat, you want to remove government by force, by this time tomorrow this will happen, Nigeria will burn, the international community, we are working with them, they will do this, they will do that, then automatically you are doing something that will likely breach the peace.
So what you're saying is the one that was held last year,
yes,
could not be referred to as a peaceful protest.
It's not a peaceful protest by the conduct of the person who conveyed it, who spearheaded it, yes.
You would say that was a peaceful protest.
I don't see.
It doesn't matter whether it came with the hashtag revolution.
No, you see, the word revolution has been in place for a very long time. Revolution is a word that has to do with a change. You understand? When you are saying that you want to change a situation, you want to change circumstances, you want to change something, you understand? Something that is not really good and well. You understand? Normally you can call it revolution. And at the same time, it can either be peaceful or bloody. So the one that was called last year was the kind of one that can lead to blood. While the one that was done now is the peaceful one. Anybody can use the word revolution. Every one of us have always said.
Another question will be why it was clamped down. But of course, we need to go on a quick break right now. It's still Fresh 105.9 FM Ibadan. Do not touch that dial.
Fresh 105.9 FM. Your feel good radio. XL Detergents makes